Before we begin, thank you very much to Nick. Yep, just Nick for joining my Patreon campaign. Thank you very much for supporting me and helping the channel continue to make videos literally every day until I burn myself out into a little bit of ash, which may happen, but it may not. Thanks to you, it probably will not. Thanks to you guys, I think I'm almost made it through the entire month of February without actually using my normal intro. I feel like I've had someone to shout out like literally every day. And I feel like every time I mention it, that someone sees that as a challenge. Don't see it as a challenge. You don't have to do anything. I do appreciate how supportive everyone has been, though. All right, so today we are going to perform a magic trick live in front of your eyes using this camera. You will see no camera trickery, no edits. This will be a continuous shot from beginning to end. What magic trick are we going to do? Well, we are going to take Protoform Starscream, a toy known to be 100% gold plastic, and live in front of your eyes, we are going to transform it into robot mode without anything breaking. This is a very dangerous trick because I put a whole $20 into this toy, and I don't want to be out 20 bucks. So, wish for the best, and here we go. So, if you're not familiar, a Protoform Starscream is the very first toy that came out for the 07 movie. So basically one of the first two toys for the entirety of the live action series. It was paired up with a Protoform Optimus Prime. They were both in what was called an entry mode, which is basically them as basically a meteor crashing down to the Earth. So it was a very weird way of like introducing us to the movie aesthetic, but hey, it is what it is. So transforming this guy is not too hard. It's mostly just pushing things outward the way they go. So we undo this tab from the legs. Now we're going to have to rotate this whole thing all the way around on a ball joint. This piece will double hinge backwards. Yep, there we go. Completed the hinge just fine. Separate the legs. Straighten them out like that. And now we got to flip the feet out. Feet, not too bad. They're pretty stiff, but everything holding up. So far, so good. Everything going according to Keikaku. So now we need to take the top piece, and it's pegged into both arms. So we'll need to very carefully unpeg it. All right, get those out. Canopy on top, I'm going to flip up and double hinge up. And then, see, if the automorph still works on this thing, the head should come up when I push the arms forward. There we go. That all still worked. And then I'm going to lower the arms down like so. Fold up the pieces on the back. And just like that, we've transformed a Protoform Starscream live with no edits or camera cuts, without any breakage. How does he do it? The trick here is that this is not a Protoform Starscream, not the one that you know of, however. This one is, as a matter of fact, is a pre-production version of the figure. So, remember my friend Edgar, the one that helped me secure all these lovely toys from the Derek Wyatt collection? Well, he was at it again. So, along with all the random toys that Derek Wyatt bought in droves, he also purchased a few things, or was given a few things, we'll never know, that came directly from production. For instance, my animated Blitzwing from his collection has the paperwork attached to it to show that it is a packaging sample and was never actually put on a store shelf. So it's one of the very first ones out of the factory that Hasbro had to make approval on. So, super cool version of it. There were others found in his collection. For instance, there was an animated Rodimus Major that had a serial number carved into the windshield, which is one way that they designate that this toy was a sample piece that was not supposed to be released to the public. That one would have been cool to have, and it was just kind of mixed in with his loose toys. That one would be cool to have, but it went to one Proto Man the front runner of the Hot Rod fan club and the most prolific hot rod collector I know, and I couldn't have thought of a better home for it. It absolutely deserves to be there. But this one wound up in that pile as well, much to everyone's surprise. Now, the big giveaway that I didn't show you is if we look on the top on the canopy of the vehicle mode, you will see that it does say "Not for Sale" stamped very boldly across the front. That's kind of an indicator of what exactly is going on here. So what you're looking at here is the pre-production sample piece that would have gone to Hasbro for final approval. You remember how we talked about prototype toys in a past video? This is kind of the next step on. All the colors have been decided. Hasbro has figured out what colors go where, what molds to use for what, and they send that off to the factory. This is what the factory sends out to make sure that everything is up to Hasbro's approval. Now, I wouldn't be making a whole video out of this if it wasn't a little bit more unique than that. And technically it is, though not in any huge regard, but something I think is really, really cool. So for starters, I had to go and buy the original Protoform Starscream again because I had sold mine off years ago. And this is essentially why I'm making a video of this, because frankly, I need the tax write-offs next year. And if I'm going to drop another 20 bucks, actually 26 bucks, just to confirm what is different between the two, I'm going to get a write-off on it. So this is officially a business expense. But in my camera light, you can actually see that there is a tone difference to the toys. The original one is that deep bronze swirly plastic that we know gold plastic from. So this one is the fragile version of this character. And considering the only repaint of it that I'm aware of, there's an all gold one. There was a lucky draw, and then there was a like a burning orange one that used a lot of translucent plastic. So there's two releases of this that I really do not trust to stay functional over a long period of time. That is where the original one is interesting. So whereas the one on the left, the retail version, does use this more copper color and this more bronze color to its plastic, you can see that the pre-production is more on the beige side of things. Now, aside from the fact that I believe that this one will not suffer from GPS, hence why I can transform it without any kind of fear, it also harkens back to the technical first version of this toy that exists. The picture was from TF Wiki, and I don't even know where this was sourced from, but the very first time we got to see this toy, it had a completely different head, as a lot of movie toys did when they first started being announced. So now, previous ones like Megatron, that got changed due to fan outrage. However, the Starscream one, we don't really know why it got changed. If they just wanted to go in a different direction, or something went wrong in the tooling, whatever. For whatever reason, there's a version of this one with a different head. And if I had gotten that version, oh my god, you would have heard me screaming from here. I don't care where in the world you are. However, what I do believe this to be is the colors on the photo kind of wash it out a little bit, but I feel like the colors in that photo are the same colors as the toy you are seeing now. The only difference would be the lighting. So there is something to the original version of that Starscream toy in this figure, then along with everything else. So there's other little differences too. We'll go over the very small, subtle differences. So you can see that the head here does have this large black section for the crest on the front of the helmet, as well as a very small bit of black just in the center of the mouth. If we take a look at the production version, well, you can see that the crest has shrunken, so now there is a copper border around it from the exposed plastic, and the mouth is completely painted black, all the way from the nose, all the way over to the cheekbones. Very, very big difference at that point. But when you look at them side by side, maybe not so much. Now, it does it does show just how picky Hasbro can get when it comes to how they want their deco to go. To get the one on the right and go, can we take that little black on the crest and just like shrink it down like 20%? That's a really nitpicky thing to do, but that's a $1 billion toy company for you. Like everything down to the most minute detail. Everything else about the toy is essentially the same. I will say I think the red pops better on the beige than it does the copper, just because the color shades are different. If I'm going to speculate as to why they made the change in the first place, remember that the Optimus Prime comes out in kind of a silverish color too. He leans more to the blue, whereas the Starscream on the right leans more to the brown. But tone-wise, they're about the same color. They're about the same. So I feel like this was done to further separate the two out. Starscream gets a richer color scheme to kind of combat the subtleties on Optimus. Pure speculation, but that's the kind of thing Hasbro was doing back in 2007. Toys couldn't be too similar no matter what. You know, they had to be different. They had to pop, right? So no neutral colors, you know, of any kind. Things like that. The only other difference would be the canopies, which I've technically already shown you. The not for sale on the back. Oh, and yes, everyone have that joke. Oh, but you bought it, but it says not for sale. Yes, yes, yes. They stamp things like this to actually indicate that the piece is not intended to be, not intended to be run as a full toy until final approval is met, and then they take that stamp off. Now, in the past, and incidentally in the same line, Hasbro and the factories have gone so far as to intentionally damage a toy to make it less valuable to collectors when they're still just in their sample production phase. So, you know, there's a Starscream, the real Voyager Starscream from that line, that looks like it just got like an axe just gash it from, you know, all the way down its head. You know, and that's like a minor thing. I've seen where like the entire face was just like cross-X'd out, just like completely destroyed. All for the sake of trying to avoid collectors from wanting it. Joke's on you, collectors wanted it anyway. In fact, you actually made it more interesting for collectors. What I'm going to point out is the fact that the Decepticon emblem that is supposed to be sculpted into the top is not there. If I take a look at the production version, there's the Decepticon symbol. It's not painted on, it's full sculpting. So there is tooling change between these two, even though like from what you can see, only the deco is different. And that again comes into those little minor changes between the two that Hasbro is going to insist upon. Of course, that's a Decepticon symbol, so obviously they're going to want that in there. But you know, it's a fascinating piece to me. You know, it is fascinating for me to own because it shows just how picky Hasbro can be and how subtle the changes can be before they say, yeah, we're happy, send it off. And it's interesting to me because this is technically the third version of this toy that exists, and likely the only one that actually has a chance of surviving long term. The little bits of irony you find when you're a toy collector for as long as I am. So this is mostly just a video of me sharing an interesting piece that ended up in my collection. Thank you again to Edgar for digging it up and muling it for me. Mine is unfortunately incomplete. You will see that one of the fins is missing on the arm, and of course I haven't shown you the gun and the blast and the missile because they don't exist on this one. Neither does the blast effect, but I'll never know what condition Hasbro got it in, nor will I know what condition Derek got it in. For all I know, those parts are still floating around at Blast from the Past Toys off in California. Or, you know, they could have been thrown out at Derek's house by accident, or they could have never been there to begin with. You know, this could literally have just been a quick sample sent to Hasbro that wasn't, you know, that they missed completing in the factory. It was just to demonstrate the toy colors. We'll never know. But regardless, it's a fascinating piece, not only because it comes from Derek's collection, which of course I love being the steward of, for whatever I can. It is fascinating just as like another step in the production process of Transformers that fans technically aren't supposed to possess, but here we are, and this is what is in front of me now. So this will go along with all the rest of my Derek toys in this nice little shelf that I have created for it. And yeah, it's going to hold a special place, not only because it is a interesting little piece of Transformer history, as one of the first produced movie toys ever, but also just, you know, a fascinating piece that was owned by a fascinating person. So thank you guys for watching. This is my little bit of show off for the day, as well as just showing you just like another little step in the production process of what makes a Transformer go from a drawing on a table to something you can go buy at Walmart, because there's a lot more involved than a lot of people realize. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.